what you say is drowned out by what you do. And boy, is that true. Hello, everybody. I am back, and I'm glad you're with me. I've heard from a few recently that they're listening to the podcast, and man, do I appreciate that. Uh, Not sure how they're finding me, but I'm glad they are. Maybe it's all the YouTube shorts and the other things that are there that say, "Hey, a new episode's coming out," and I'm really glad that the people are finding this. Greatness from small beginnings. That's what this is about. That's what I'm about. That's the process I am in. And since I'm in the process, I get the privilege of putting it out there and just helping a few other people with it. Those that are willing to be helped by me. There's other ways to get help, that's for sure. And not everybody that's willing to be helped is on this platform, which I would love if they were. Because I think that as I, process, as I digest these truths for my own life and I say things, they become more and more true in my own life. And I found out that that's true. I hope I don't get this wrong, but I was listening to a short YouTube video. It was part of an interview where the person was talking about the attribution of importance to the words we say, the speaking that we do, and how important that is to our mindsets. And he said, I want you to count to 10, and somewhere, doesn't matter where, somewhere in there, I would like you to say your name. And he didn't, that's all he said. And the two people that were in the interview, they did it, and they both said their name, and then it just stopped. And he said, why did you stop? Well, I said my name. Well, and he got into the neuroscience behind it and said that the importance of what just happened is to remember that what you say is what your mind thinks is true, and it overrides. No, actually, he said, think counting to 10. And then maybe he said, when I drop my hand, say your name. And that's probably how it went. And the point was that it interrupts what we think. The speaking interrupts what we think. And we might think love, we might think care, we might think concern, but if we don't say it, it's not as real to our own brains. There's no interrupt that says, yeah, I love. That which allows that in our heart, though even we do say in marriage, I'm in relationship and I love my wife, but I never get to her and other things that are loving. Then when we're in a conversation, a dispute, let's say, a spat, then how is she going to believe that's true if I never say it? And the point of this whole thing, the exercise, was to say that your mind doesn't even believe it. If you think it, you have to interrupt it. You have to interrupt the thought of your mind by actually creating action. It's like, man, okay. So I'm thinking of relationships in my life that I need to actually say some things, and I'm not sure what it is I need to say. I just need to convey care, concern, love, leadership. And what am I going to say to do that? But the point is, say something. Say something positive. Say something. If it has to be put in with something a little bit less positive, then I guess the point that I heard also recently is sandwich it. Positive, then constructive criticism or something that's more critical, and then another positive. And that's a good tool. I don't use that often enough. So here's something that I want to get into today. I'm going to try not to spend a ton of time. Let me see if I can get this to work. There we go. Trying to look for my notes here. There we go. I think that's better. Perfect. And it's called 13 Painful Truths. And I'm not sure they're all that painful. And I'm not actually sure, as I talk through them, how much of them I believe fully. And yet there's some truth couched in each, like sitting in each. And number two are kind of combined, and there's others that do the same thing. People often confuse being busy with being successful. I'm long past that. And I think uh, that's something that we probably could learn from the younger generation is that enjoying life is actually important and that's part of success. They just don't have 30 or 40 years of work behind them, don't have any resources other than the part time job or whatever it is. That may be a full time job. They're not always lazy. But I'll read it again. People often confuse being busy with being successful. Tied in with that, number two, the gap between busy and successful is your priorities. I'm not sure I understand the gap between, but I do know that successful is your what you actually believe about success is determined by your priorities, the actions that come out of your priorities, your values, because you always act upon what's most important to you. Whether it's defensiveness, whether it's fear, whether it's something positive out of love, that is a priority. That or spending time with family. I was just thinking about a friend of mine that I haven't talked to in a while. We texted back and forth a little bit yesterday and today, just one each, a couple each, and we were trying to set up a time. Little spot of time worked for me. It didn't work as well for him. He called me actually and said, "Hey, are you going to be driving for a bit?" I said, 40 minutes. He said, "Can I call you back in 10 or 15 minutes?" No, no problem. We'll at least have a short conversation. Well, he didn't. I'm not mad about it, but we haven't caught up in a while. And I've realized recently that I regret that. And I need to be more intentional about that relationship. And it's going to probably benefit both of us is if one of us creates the priority in our life and then it become priority for both. Number three, what you say is drowned out by what you do. And boy, is that true. And by the way, let me say it to you. What you say is drowned out by what you do. How you act, what you say, the things that people. I was telling a story recently, and the comment I didn't get, this doesn't originate with me, but this guy said he was humbling himself in front, something, telling his wife something. And he asked the question like this: what's it like to be on the other side of me? And what he means is the side I don't see. Help me see it. And when he got the response, he was not happy because he wanted reality and he got it and it helped him. And I was telling a story about that one time that happened to me. I was in high school and I was being an idiot, and a really good friend of mine, he was a mentor. He said to me, "You are being absolutely obnoxious and you're kind of making a fool of yourself." And it wasn't just in an isolated moment or a moment a day. It was over a several day period. And I really appreciated that he did that. What I didn't get to do was apologize to those people I made a fool of myself in front of, not all of them, some of them. And I regretted not being able to. But but I think I was in high school and they forgave me because I was immature, an immature little punk. Four, everything you don't measure is underperforming. That's what I was getting to when I was saying my friend and I don't want to measure our relationship by the number of conversations, but we haven't connected in a long time. And the reason we started connecting more regularly was over something that he asked for that I could provide him. And then it just kind of fell off. And I realized that I could measure that more by having a time on my calendar, that whether or not he answered, if I had a time on my calendar every week to call him, then at least it would happen more often. We would be in touch more often. And that I think that's one thing, the action point that I'll do today or tomorrow is put that in my calendar weekly and just make a phone call, send him a text, tell him I love him. I send him a devotional as it is, which I don't know if it's helpful most of the time. Some of the stuff probably is, some of it isn't, but it is something I can do. Number 5, the word should is likely the reason you don't have all you want, because you should do it, but you don't. Instead, change it to I will, an action word statement. And I appreciate a life coach that helped me understand that. And when he was basically going through some of his life coach scenario with me about goals and calling and different things like that, and I answered several times, well, I should be doing that. I should be doing more. I should, whatever. And he said, you need to stop saying that. That is not good for you. It's not good. It's not even correct. And he's right. It was a bad place to put it in the sentence and in my heart. Number 6, your enemy is not fear, it's comfort. And I believe that with all my heart for me. Some people, the most easily revealed, the most easily detected enemy in their mind is fear. But then often that fear has something attached to it. The fear of going back to a bad habit or failing, or in the case this says, comfort. Comfort, the fear of losing comfort if you're comfortable, it's huge. It is really huge. And we have to watch what we're doing. We can't idolize it. We absolutely cannot. And that's one of the things that running has taught me. You don't get to your goals if you don't hurt. You just don't. 7, if you wonder why everyone is so divided, it's because they don't use facts to form their opinions. They use their opinions to form their facts. Don't do that. Absolutely do not do that. Your opinion should not form facts. I know a few people that, boy, they are strong-minded, and that is not a bad thing. But when they develop an opinion, it is the law of the land. It is 100% truth, and it's just not. Or it's the truth, which is this big. It's true because there's this piece of it, but the truth is this. It's bigger. And so let's look for truth rather than what's true. Rather than what's true. It's the small thing. It's not other people's job to love you. That's your job. I agree with that from the standpoint it's not their job. Self-love is something that's thrown around a lot, and it can be a little using humanistic thought thinking as an idol, as something that's more important than the God of the universe and really good values and good character. But if you have character, it's okay to love what you're developing, love the path you're on. It's okay. But if you love yourself and you're a scoundrel, then you better stop, because you need to repent and turn the other way. You need to say, I am sorry, God, and all the people, and turn the opposite way. That's what repentant actually physically means, is turning 180 degrees. And that's what you need to do. Love yourself if you're on the right path. And I say that loosely in quotes, because am I on the right path? Well, I don't always know. But I'm hoping that I'm gradually getting more and more to my bearings, which I believe I am. Successful people evaluate and judge themselves, while unsuccessful people evaluate and judge others. Yeah, had that in my life, on both sides. I've evaluated and judged people and had no business doing it. And in those moments, in that period of time, in that geography, I was not successful. I was very unsuccessful. But the times when I'm most successful, I just bear down and do my job and not judge other people. And if I have a question, I ask a question. I want to be successful, so I need to evaluate and judge myself first and only. And then if I have curiosity about what the other person is doing and it's a priority enough to go ask, then I need to go ask. Number 10, you don't need to wait for an apology to forgive someone. Matter of fact, you shouldn't. Begin the process of forgiving. And I have worked through a few things recently and realized that forgive, 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 forgive. 490 times is the math that Jesus used. And one of the things I heard about that is that's the biggest number that a mostly illiterate people could understand is 490. And that's what everybody's goal was. 490 was the biggest number they knew. And that's the number he used. Always forgive. And don't wait. Don't wait until you've been forgiven. Don't wait for an apology, because some people that you need to forgive right now don't even realize they've done something wrong. Or they know it, but they're just resistant to apology. They're just not going to do it. Some people will not. Some people will not. They'll dance around it, or they'll say something about an apology and then want you to assume that that's actually what it was, or sometimes they'll dance around by saying, well, I'm sorry I've hurt you. Well, then that's about you, right? No, it's I'm sorry you got that what I did hurt you. Well, that's actually them saying that you're weak. Well, it isn't always that. It isn't always that. If you've been a real jerk, then you might have hurt somebody and you deserve to apologize. Number 11, some people you spend time with bring out the worst in you. Got to think about that. Consider your 5 people. Show me Jim Rohn. Is that who said it? Show me your 5 people closest to you, and I will show you your future. I don't always believe that. There are certain sections of life. I have some friends, and they are good friends. I know them well, and they know me pretty well. Am careful with my time with them because we don't go deep. It's just not possible. We have many of the same values, most of the same values, but we can't go deep about the values and about digging deep into theology and how it affects my life and becoming more spiritual. It's just not part of the scenario, and that's okay. Well, that person doesn't determine my future because I actually have to figure out how I'm going to limit that a little bit or not spend all of my time there and get that deep talk, that deep contribution from some other place. And so I don't agree completely with that statement that you show me the 5 closest people and I'll show you your future. But if it comes down to a couple, the ones that you open up with the most, the ones that you spend the most deep time with, talking about vision and strategy and these kinds of things, those are the people that really affect your future. Number 12, failure always happens prior to a big success. Actually, sometimes it's multiple failures. Sometimes it's a season of failing. And what we're learning from those things is actually the most important thing. But as a rule, I wouldn't say this is a rule, but more of a true pattern that does really exist, that it can be really hard to picture success, to picture really a big win when you've spent some time failing in the recent past. And I've had a little of that recently, beginning to catch glimpses of my future. That's really gratifying. Number 13, everyone wants you to be something. The best gift to them is to become you. I have not loved the statement, I just want to be me, because what the me that person is talking about is an absolute jerk. What if that's the case? Well, don't be more of that. Get right with God. But the me that is right with God, the me that is on the right path, my favorite verse is Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. It says, trust in the Lord with all your heart. And here's the keys. Here's the things you do. Lean not on your own understanding, and in all your ways acknowledge him. So 2 types of humble. Humble yourself in 2 different ways. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Lean not on your own understanding. Because you don't have it. You just don't. And in all your ways acknowledge him. That means praise. That means worship. That means remembering his faithfulness over the years. That means obeying his commands. And he will make your path straight. He will put you on the right path. And that is a fact, and that is true. And when you do that, that is the best you, to be on his path. That's the one that everybody around you needs. And so go be that. My friend Zig Ziglar always says, you were designed for accomplishment, engineered for success, and endowed with the seeds of greatness. You were. Get right with God. Remember Proverbs 3:5-6. Look it up. Write it down. Put it on your wall. And then do the most important thing. Make a decision to this challenge. Now go be great.